Gensel on the right. He scores! Shane Gensel!
Hundley holds, steps up. Hundley sacks T.J. Watt. NFL history. Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record. Oh, no.
In the air to right. This is deep. And he did it again. Jack Sawinski wins it for the Pirates. 3 home runs in a game.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio, right here in the Municipal Building. We're doing our 810th show. Thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thank you for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, and all the greater Pittsburgh area. Thank you for watching it. Facebook, they messed the algorithms up. We're over somewhere 6,900 and some likes, so we appreciate it. If you can like our page, do it. If not, follow. So either or, we're getting it out there. And we're also on Facebook Live now. We're on YouTube, Pittsburgh Sportsline channel. So if you type in Pittsburgh Sportsline channel like Smokin' Jim did, you can do it. And then what else are we on?
That's it.
We got it covered, so thank you for watching us on TV.
Oh, I forgot. We got the video on demand channel up.
That's what I wanted to bring up. You told me that pre-show.
Go to bethelpark.net, click on BPTV under departments, and you'll find our on-demand channel. All our Sportsline channels up to 2 months in advance will be on there.
And I know that's very complex for you, so if you didn't understand the VIP, just keep watching on what you're watching with us. We appreciate it. And tell your friends they can join you too, and family and others. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. I got Smokin' Jim Frazier. Chip Hainer made it back again 2 weeks in a row after his second knee transplant. And he's battling it, and he's stubborn like the rest of us in Pittsburgh, so he'll carry on. And we got the VIP, Nick Callis, here. I got some promos here. We'll start the first one up here. Let's see what we got. Shout out to Charlene Thomas and Diane Rody's watching us. Thank you. And Amy from Giant Eagles watching us. All right. He got the clapper today. I didn't know if that was clap on or clap off. All right, Olive Oil's Pizzeria sponsors us and our show with an XL pepperoni pizza. And tonight an Italian hoagie. They were out of steak. Give them a call, 412-831-1900. Talk to young Frankie. Frankie made our hoagie. Frankie cut the 12-cut pizza. Give him a call. He's the owner's son, who's Frank Finero. And check it out. Next up, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. We got Mike on the camera. Ralph's watching. Hello, Ralph.
That's my man.
Amy said, hello, guys. Al, I like your haircut. It looks very nice. I had it cut last week, and I appreciate all of you thinking it looked nice, and thanks for liking that picture of Azazu with Emilio and Jordan, the owner of Nicholas Coffee and Tea. You can, Mike, can you pull up? Can you pull up on Smokin' Jim for 1 second? Hold it steady for Mike to go right to Jim. Nicholas Coffee and Teas, they have the best roasted peanuts in Pittsburgh. I've been eating since I'm a child. I got my loose leaf green tea the other day when I got my hair cut. And you can see them. They're in Market Square. All right, and Smokin' Jim's going to hold off because we got to keep the studio a little neater, and we don't want all those shells.
I only eat them in my car.
Well,
make that look like a giant garbage dump.
Well, you know, he has inventory in his car. That's another story. So, Chief, thanks for watching. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. You can go to the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, find out more about their events. Biggest event is the Joey Fabus 1K 5K, 1 mile run walk with superheroes. Go online, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation.org. All right, another 501c3. We'll see what Mike comes up. So far, he's doing great. There we go. That popped up quick. Always Be Smiling. The B in the picture is a handicapped Bennett, died at 16 and a half. His parents, Kristen and Dean, started Always Be Smiling to help other children. It's a 501c3. Thank all of you for liking the page. Please like it now and try to donate some money to help them. All right, Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. Mike did great again. 2600 South Park Road, the red and white trolley's right there. You can't miss it. Reginald's Coffee, best coffee in the area. Roasted coffee from around the world. The roaster is inside their shop at 2600 South Park Road. It's a 1905 schoolhouse, been completely remodeled. So check it out, and they're another 501c3. Help them out in Bethel Park. All right, something bigger for Mike to pick up here. All right, the Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. bpcf.org, get an application. We meet every couple months. We just met last Thursday. We've given out over $1 million in 26 years. We have money for your groups helping make Bethel a better community. All right, next up, Mike's on fire here. Hey, Brand the man from Mr. Sewer, who fixed my sewer last year, he's watching the show. And thanks for watching, Brand. He said he wants to fill in as a guest host, too.
All right.
He knows penguins.
Wow.
And we'll talk a little bit about them. All right, Dave Cable had some fun at my expense. Look at, he put my smiling face on Uncle Sam. And we want you for BPTV. You can be like Marco Rodi. You can be like Mike Rodi. You can be like Johnny Mariano.
Marco!
You can be like Ryan Thomas, who came back after he retired. He's here 3 weeks in a row, and we're proud and honored that he's helping us out.
He's here today. I didn't see him.
Did you see his motorcycle outside?
Nope.
You can reach us 412-831-3304. Especially if you're in school, you can learn to do audio, video. You can even learn how to put video on TikTok and do all that stuff, maybe even Twitch and whatever else, or just do regular public access TV shows like this one. You can help out like these guys are doing here, so check it out. All right, new advertisement, Party in the Park, Saturday, October 29th. Check me on that.
April 29th.
April 29th.
Rock around
And
the clock tonight.
that's sponsored by it's South Park Theater, Bethel Park Community Foundation, and the Bethel Park Library. And I want to tell you, I'm a trustee with the Bethel Park Library and Bethel Park Community Foundation. So I must be doing something right. They want me to help promote them on my show. And Smoking Jim, we appreciate your happiness.
Party in the park.
Doing.
Will you come there, Smoking Jim?
I'm a rock around the clock tonight.
Well, Smoking Jim, for $40, you can come there. It was great last year without you.
And that means you got to pay the 40, not you're not getting the 40.
Let me see those ones.
I haven't seen so many George Washingtons in my life.
Oh, I have. He and I have. I've seen more. You've handed me a one. Yeah. Good one. Good one.
Brand the man said, my man Al, we got a lot to cover here soon on the pens. Working on some stuff this week. He knows details about the pens like you can't believe. When he worked on my sewer for 3 hours,
Wow.
2 hours and 30 minutes, we were covering penguins.
They won 6-4.
And that was
night,
last
right?
September.
They won 6-4.
Is it something negative you have to talk
No,
about?
it's a-
What's on your mind, Smoking Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. That one-handed catch. I tell you what, my man Mike, he swagged out. I love that sweat top. I never knew. What
What's
does
it
it say
say?
on there?
Champion.
I never knew he was a Kansas City fan. But hey, listen, I'm gonna just go back and bring everybody up to date for 1 minute. And
Okay,
all I'ma
that's
talk.
enough. That's
Listen.
enough.
You know, I like to talk the historians of the game and try to
Oh,
bring the
interrupt.
young people
Tim
in.
Davis said hi. Thanks for watching.
That's
and
my favorite coach.
yeah,
'Cause
and
I-
he got a great boxing daughter, Colleen.
Colleen.
A pro fighter.
Because I was born in the game. I was born to the game, being a season ticket holder since I was 4.
Who paid
But-
for the tickets?
But Mike's probably too young. I know Chip might be too young. But in '64, when Muhammad Ali predicted that he was going to beat Sonny Liston, everybody laughed. Just
You
a
mean
young
Cassius
kid.
Clay?
Cassius Clay. That young kid ain't going to do nothing. End up winning.
Time out. I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you just imply you're older than Chip?
I'm just saying I'm a historian in
I
the
was just
game. I
wondering.
read, I study, I watch.
I'm just
He's not,
listening.
we're the same age.
In 1968, when Joe Namath predicted, guaranteed that he would beat the Baltimore Colts, everybody laughed. That semi-pro Sandlot League, everybody laughed that off. You know, listen, it wasn't until 1974 when the two-time Super Bowl champions, and in my opinion, the greatest team ever assembled, the undefeated Miami Dolphins, lost in the championship in the semifinal game to the Oakland Raiders. And John Madden said that the two best teams in the world just played today. And Chuck Noll, who always said, if I got to motivate you, I'll get rid of you and bring somebody in that I don't have to motivate. Never gave a motivational speech. On that Monday practice, he got everybody in the locker room and said, you guys are the best in the world. And we're going to Oakland and we're going to kick their blankety blank. And they went there and started the dynasty. Listen, Cincinnati, I predicted last week.
Who's he pointing at?
And I changed my
I'm
prediction.
scared.
First time I ever changed. First time I ever flip-flopped.
Is that before or after you lost the bet?
Oh, wow.
I predicted on Tuesday on the show that the Cincinnati Bengals will win. Then Little Mike Hilton, he's going to call it Burrowhead. The mayor got behind it, Burrowhead. I said Kansas City's going to win. Even the referees agreed with that. You do not, listen, you do not talk about a team like that and give them incentive. I think the Cincinnati Bengals would have went back-to-back Super Bowls, but thanks to Mike Hilton and what he learned from the Pittsburgh Steelers, opening his mouth when he had no business, that was disrespectful, calling Arrowhead Burrowhead, and I know you agree. And that's what's on my mind.
Smoking Jim, first I can't do a disclaimer because that's only purely your opinion.
Yes, sir.
And second of all, you're going in a championship game.
Yes.
Are you focused on winning the game or are you focused on nonsense?
Nonsense.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Because everybody in the post-game interview, including Kelso, brought up that Burrowhead.
Who's Kelso?
Ain't that the tight end?
Travis
Kelce?
Kelce. Travis Kelce.
Kelce, you know what I mean.
How can you trust a guy like that? We got Kevin Hopkins is watching. Tony from Chick-fil-A said the only party Smoking Jim goes to is a lady club with all those rolled up ones. LOL.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Ooh, I just like one.
No, but my point, to get back to seriousness, I played football and I never worried about what anybody else ever said. After the game, if you want to have fun at them being stupid, saying something like that, but I don't think it had anything to do to motivate Kansas City to win the game.
We agree to disagree.
Well, I just want to show an example because you're a pretty bright scout, I think. We think so.
Even though I'm dark skinned.
Yeah, right. There's a disclaimer. He's not racist. He's wearing all black today, so how could he be racist? I even lost my train of thought with that. It's so ridiculous. How many times has Mahomes been to a championship game?
5 games, 5 years in a row.
Okay. Do you think the mayor from Cincinnati inspired him to run on a leg that was almost broken?
I didn't hear what the mayor said, but I heard what Mike Hilton said. Burrowhead.
Well, I'm glad we could address nonsense that he heard from another party, because it means nothing, folks. Don't trust them on his bets or on what motivated teams to win.
I bet you Philly won't keep their mouth shut. I bet you that.
We got to move on. Smoking Jim, you got the nonsense out. We're going to go to Chip Painter. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is, again, is football. Obviously, championship weekend. I'll have something to say about that. But within the last few hours, a couple of hires made in the NFL.
Yes.
Sean Payton is now head coach of the Denver Broncos.
Yes!
And DeMacio Ryan, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, is now head coach of the Houston Texans.
Where he used to play.
Well, we'll see what it does to his career. But, I mean, he's the architect of the number one defense in the NFL. And even with the number one defense in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers could not overcome themselves. Subsequently, they were beaten by the Philadelphia Eagles. And I say they couldn't overcome themselves. Unfortunately, their quarterback got hurt very early in the first quarter. That's not the reason why the 49ers lost the game. The 49ers lost the game because they played sloppy football. They consistently had penalties on third and fourth down that extended drives, which allowed Philadelphia to get into scoring position and eventually run the ball into the end zone. Miles Sanders, Woodland Hills product. Congratulations, 2 touchdowns this weekend.
Penn State, too.
Yeah. He's got a little indigestion.
Well, he lost.
But
that's
the one thing
He
about the
lost.
game, I was not overly impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the coach made a number of different mistakes. Biggest one, Devontae Smith, the catch for a deep ball in the first drive.
Yeah.
Should have thrown the red flag.
Shout out to my son, Drew. We're watching the play, and I go, what a catch. He goes, Dad, the ball hit the ground. He saw that before the replay.
Well,
So we brought the replay.
that
Shout
could have
out to
changed
Drew.
the complexion of the game, because
It did.
the game pretty much was a slugfest. And then finally, San Francisco lost their cool, with less than 2 minutes left, and
Yeah.
got a couple of people ejected. So
Well, it was over.
a sloppy game played by the San Francisco 49ers. Can't blame it on the refs. You got to blame that one on the coaching staff and the players. So much there. Eagles headed as the NFC champion, going to the Super Bowl. Unlike my dear friend Jim, there was no way in God's green earth that I would have picked the Cincinnati Bengals, or should I call them what they really are, the Cincinnati Bungles, as the AFC champion this year. They got lucky last year. More on that in a minute. But the Cincinnati Bungles lost in typical Bungle fashion with less than 20 seconds left. They made a typical, like a Vontaze Burfict type play. And they had a late hit out of bounds, which would have turned a 60-yard field goal into a makeable 45-yard field goal. Subsequently, they lost the game. Now, you can cry all you want about how the refs gave the game to the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what? That's a bunch of malarkey, because referees make mistakes the same way players make mistakes. The same way Osai made a mistake hitting Patrick Mahomes 5 yards out of bounds. So once again, the Bengals proved that they're the
but
Bengals.
he did it at full speed.
Once again,
They're taught to go full speed.
once again,
So he was coached
the
up to cause
Bengals
the penalty.
proved that they're the Bengals, and they lost in typical Bengal fashion. Now, I posted something on Facebook today, and I want to pull this up, and I found it quite interesting, and it kind of goes along with something that I believe to be true, because everybody is talking about Joe. What's his name? The Bengals
Burrow.
quarterback. Joe Burrow, okay?
Burrowhead.
Joe Burrow as the next coming, okay? Each of the last 16 quarterbacks to lose in their Super Bowl debut have never made it back to the big game. And just to give you a rundown of who some of these
Don't
quarterbacks
mention
are.
Danny Marino. I cringe.
Stan Humphries, Neil O'Donnell, Drew Bledsoe, Chris Chandler, Steve McNair, Kerry Collins, Rich Gannon, Jake Delhomme, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Rex Grossman, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So, we're going to see what happens over the next few years. I think the Bengals have peaked in the last 2 years, and, people are going to, be ready for them. So, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. So now we've got the Chiefs, we've got the Eagles, and I think it's a flip, a coin flip game. I can't say one way or the other, but maybe I might just have to say, fly, Eagles, fly.
Whoa. Well, Chip,
You're wearing your green.
I got to disagree with you on the Bungles being the Bungles. They showed me that 3 guys that were put in could play a game, and we can't help it with circumstances. And my dad's known for being a referee. He goes, if you notice the referees, they're not doing their job. The NFL referees have been so poor this year that I got to talk about that.
Okay, and no, that's an excellent point you're making. But here's another point I want to make. Also,
I did it to comment.
The caliber of play that was exhibited in the NFL across the board this year was below par, substandard, and awful. Just to put it bluntly, if you watched any Thursday night game, of which I didn't watch a single one, they put more people to sleep than Somanex.
Ooh.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll just say when they did their CBA where they cut down the practices and tackling, we've seen a decrease in good tackling in general.
Well, you did poor quarterback play, poor wide receiver, just across the board. The play has been poor tackling. Well,
that's why we needed that discussion. Just like when you had the
that
regular.
Sounds like somebody that ain't watched much football this year.
Well, he just said he did.
Well, let's see. Sounds like it.
Well,
watched
wait a minute.
football.
I got a question. Did you pay the subscription to the Evil Empire to watch Thursday Night Football?
Put it this
like
way.
he said he was.
Put it this way. I'm a black man. I get it all free. I got a hookup on Major Harris Boulevard.
Disclaimer.
I watch everything free.
Disclaimer right now. His opinions don't represent us or the studio, and it's just him being smoking Jim Frazier. He has that split personality. He's a mama's boy that stays home 90% of the time. He's not out traveling the country. And the rest of the time, he's smoking Jim Frazier on fire. So we're going to carry on. Thanks, Chip. We can agree to disagree on the Bungles or Bangles, whatever you want, but shout out to Myron Cope for coining the Bungles, which Chip got to put out there. Nick Callis, what's on your mind?
Football. So nothing new on the subjects. I'll give a Super Bowl prediction later. I'll also talk about the Bengals and just some of the things I think influenced their losing performance. Though they played well. I think they played well. I also agree that they've peaked. How about the other team, though? The 49ers and the Eagles playing. The 49ers, that's got to be one of the most rare things to happen in an entire season, that 4 quarterbacks get hurt in the same season. I don't really agree with the assessment that the 49ers were weak or played poorly. They had Brock Purdy in the game who threw, I think, 5 passes in the second half. I mean, they were destined to run the game at that point because the man could not throw a pass.
Say he was injured, though.
He was injured. He injured his elbow. It turned out to be a UCL. Yeah, so that's terrible. Have we seen the last of Brock Purdy? It's likely. I mean, is he going to be ready by next season? He might be, but Trey Lance is certain to be back, as is Jimmy Garoppolo. Not that he'll be under contract anymore, or not that he'll be on the team. I know he's probably on the hot market there, but I think Brock Purdy, with that injury, might have seen his best days. I don't really think he's going to be back to be a threat with this injury. He might have been, but because of the injury, I think it's going to be an easier quarterback battle come camp for them. So RIP to the 49ers. And again, I think they would have played better had they not had to put Josh Johnson in. I mean, that's your 4th-string quarterback when you think about it. Like, that dude did not expect to play a single snap, let alone in the Super Bowl. I have no clue how rare it is, and I wish I would have looked that up.
He's only played for 14 teams.
Exactly. There you go. See, Chip gets it. We're all good. We're all on the same. So, yeah, I mean, Josh Johnson, not great. Brock Purdy comes back in the game because they really don't have any other options. Shanahan didn't get creative, and it's just let's have Brock Purdy run the ball, which again I don't like because the Eagles
the
knew
only
what was
other
coming.
choice was McCaffrey.
I would have liked to see. Didn't he? He took one snap.
Yeah,
he took
did.
one
They
snap.
couldn't get the green dot helmet on him.
No.
That's the reason why he wasn't quarterbacking.
But yeah, so
They said they said, Brock, you're in there. He goes, I can't even lift my arm up. They go ahead in there.
But I mean, I guess is that a poor performance by the 49ers to not be able to come up with a better scheme? I really don't think so. That's 4 quarterbacks you're down, so I don't blame the 49ers very much. I am just saying I have sympathy for Brock Purdy in this case. And I'll give my Super Bowl prediction later. And I'll talk about the Chiefs-Bengals game more in depth during my VIP segment. But that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Nick.
R.I.P. Brock Purdy.
We got John Donatelli watching. He's a friend of Jim Ellenbogen. He said, I've been watching for a few weeks now. Does Smokin' Jim ever share the grub? John,
Smokin' Jim has the best fed tapeworm in Bethel Park.
Yeah.
Where'd you acquire that?
He missed that. John, in answer to that, I get one slice and he eats the rest, and the other guys they're on their own. That's how simple it is. If you see him eating while we're talking all the time, that is true. We don't doctor that up at all. So, and Smokin' Jim will tell you he's an honest man. So, and Johnny Mariano's watching. He said, Al Levine, the disclaimer machine. I'm just protecting BPTV. We don't want to be represented by a black man wearing a black outfit saying racist things. And if you want to disclaim me, I got a disclaimer on me, but I have to say it. He's my best friend, and I don't know where he's coming from with most of this stuff. So, and Chief brought out that, they gave up a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Coach Payton, and he was in demand. And good luck with the Houston Texans. And when you have a defensive guy, let's hope they have a good offensive coach, too, to help out. So we'll see. J.J. Watt, I was watching ESPN. He said he was a great friend, player, and he should be a great coach. So J.J. Watt, maybe he's trying to get a defensive coaching job. I'm just saying. Now I'll go to what's on my mind. What's on my mind? I saw some great football. I saw some bad football. But I saw a guy playing on one leg. And Mahomes, I predicted he'd be good, and they did win. But look at what he had to do. He gave every possible chance to win the game on one leg. He even made the play that caused one of the greatest penalties at the end of the game, like Chip said, to create a 61-yard field goal to 45. Mahomes took off, ran out of the pocket, went to the sideline, went to get the first down, was running and clearly out of bounds, about 2 steps out of bounds. Now, we've all of us that have played football or sports, what do we learn in the game? Like, I was superstitious when I was pitching, Chip. I didn't walk on any white lines. We knew that was off the field of play. When you're in football, you play between the lines. How many times do coaches ingrain it, Nick, Jim, that played football, play between the lines? If you're running like a pure maniac, what happened to your discipline, and what happened to what you've learned since Pee Wee football? You're now in the NFL, 20-something years old, and you're crying on the sidelines. You only got one person to blame. Look in the mirror tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
That's the guy.
Yes, sir.
So I have no empathy for him. Guess what? People make mistakes. People have problems. In San Francisco, when you're down to your 4th quarterback and he's hurt with a UCL and can't throw, the game's basically over. I give the Eagles all the credit in the world, even though I'm not a Philly fan, because I've met Philly people, and they're in a whole different category, Smokin' Jim. You could hang with them, and they'd hang you from the stadium.
Even though San Francisco with the number 1 rated defense, it was the San Francisco defense that forced the penalties that extended drives, which allowed Philadelphia
Well, this
to
goes
score.
to coaching and discipline, hence even with the SI. You should be coached up and disciplined enough to stay within the lines. And you got the best defense in the league. How are you creating these penalties? How about take a deep breath and play your game? You've been good all year. You're ranked #1 in every category. Chip, you're 100% right. They cause the problem, but that's the equalizer in games. Who shows up and who shines, who doesn't.
One last thing to speak to, Patrick Mahomes. Got to give the man credit. Played on one leg, and it was obvious as he went into the second half that he wasn't 100%. But Cincinnati wouldn't have even been in the game had it not been for Mahomes flubbing
One of the passes
snap
slipped out of his hand.
and it gave Cincinnati a short field that gave them the score.
Actually, he was throwing the ball
that tied the game.
He was trying to throw the ball and it slipped out of his hand.
Yeah.
They're not even bringing that up. That could have cost them the game if Cincinnati came up and they weren't bungled up. So I give you that point there too. Tony has a question for Chip or Nick, but I'm going in there. He goes, who do you think was the Pittsburgh Pirates' all-time third baseman? I'll go with the gravedigger, Richie Hebner.
That's my guy.
Go ahead, Chip and Nick.
Third baseman.
Chief said Pie Trainer. He was a shortstop.
He was in the field, right?
What?
I think he was.
No, he was a shortstop. The Flying Dutchman.
The ones that
Where did
I've
Frank Thomas play?
Hoke. What position did Hoke play?
I forget right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the two that I saw that I felt handled the hot corner best were somebody we got in a trade from the Chicago Cubs, won a couple of batting titles, Bill Madlock, and yes, Richie Hebner, the '71 World Series Pirates, played an incredible third base, but not for a very long time.
No, I pick him just because growing up with him doing that, winning the World Series.
Those are the teams that we remember the best because those were the Pirates championship teams that we loved as children.
Yes, we do.
All right, shout out to Paul Haley. He's down in South Carolina. He likes my loose leaf green tea weather report each day because he grew up here in Bethel and lived here, so he likes the Bethel Park weather. Smoking Jim says it's just sunny every day, including today in Monroeville.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to carry on.
Before you go, since you're wearing your Philly green, can you give a shout out to Javon Hargrave, former Pittsburgh Steeler?
The Gravedigger.
The Gravedigger.
I can't.
From South Carolina State.
Yeah, but I can't because why'd we get rid of him?
I know. He look good now.
Thank you for something positive, Smoking Jim, shouting out to somebody.
You're welcome.
I truly appreciate that because we script all this stuff. He went off script because he was not negative about anything. Well, except his betting. He didn't describe how much money did Smoking Jim. Never mind. We'll be back with 10 seconds fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine, and my main man, Marco. Hey, listen, I always thought, I've seen all the great quarterbacks play. You know what I mean? I even seen Fran Tarkenton play for the New York Giants at Pitt Stadium. But the greatest quarterback I ever seen in my life was Brett Favre.
Oh.
And the reason I say that is that because Brett Favre, I seen Brett Favre after he almost died in a car accident in 1990. Was supposed to be out for the whole year, lost 38 pounds, came into Pitt Stadium and lost his spleen and played one of the most guttiest games I've ever seen in my life. And I said, that's my quarterback. He went to Atlanta Falcons, drafted him in the second round. He's like Terry Bradshaw. He didn't like to study like most guys from the South. And
what about a guy from Cal U?
I didn't like to study either.
Yeah, but he never made it to the NFL.
But there's nobody I ever seen in my life. Maybe Aaron McNair is up there as far as toughness, but I've never seen anybody as tough as Brett Favre. He could throw the ball through. He's just a natural leader and everything. But after this past weekend, I got to say the greatest quarterback I've ever seen is Mahomes. and he showed his toughness. When he came out there with a high ankle sprain, and I'm going to wrap it up after this, I interviewed the last couple of weeks many former baseball pitchers and former quarterbacks who had a high ankle sprain. They tell me they've never had any problem. I'm talking about people that never had arm problem or shoulder problems, but because of that, and they was out 6-8 months.
Can you name any names?
And no, I'm going to keep them off record.
Are you a lawyer?
He doesn't divulge his.
You have a lawyer privilege?
He doesn't give up his
they,
sources.
they had sore arms after that because the way you have to throw, and this is after 6 months of a high ankle sprain. This guy came back and played the same game with a high ankle sprain. And I tell you what, 5 championship games in a row, 3 Super Bowl appearances. And I tell you what, and he showed the toughness of a Brett Favre, a country boy. I got to say, Mahomes, in my opinion, he should be the MVP of the league again this year. In my opinion, greatest quarterback I ever seen.
Smoking Jim, did you miss anything I said about last week? We had high ankle sprains where guys' careers were ended.
I had to do my
Did you
journalism.
listen to me
I did my
last
journalism.
week?
That's what brought me to do my journalism.
Can you spell that? We got a Jack Bransowitz watching. Thank you, Jack. Chief, I stand corrected. You know baseball better than me. The Flying Dutchman was a third baseman. Now I remember.
Before we go to Chip, do you guys agree that Mahomes is right up there as one of the best you ever
I already said that last week.
You
You
did.
know, that remains to be seen because you could play in 5 championship games and, you know, you won 1 championship. So, you know, let's let the book be written. Then we'll make a judgment
I'll
based
take
on
that
all
as a
these.
yes. Nick?
That's like saying Andy Reid is
Wait,
one of the greatest
all
coaches
right,
ever
we're
because he's
coming
been to
back.
10 conference championships and he's won 1 Super Bowl.
My trainer.
Good point.
Wagner.
Good point.
Oh, Hannes Wagner. Yeah, that's where I messed up.
Harness play
Yeah.
third?
His nickname was the Flying
Yeah,
Dutchman.
sorry. I messed up on that completely. I have Pie Trainer's picture. I brought it in. It was signed at our baseball party we had when I was 12 years old.
I used to get my
And I
tennis
brought
shoes
that
from
in.
Harness Wagner.
Yeah, my uncle used to work there.
Used to get all our Little League uniforms there. My
Yeah.
dad was the purchasing manager.
That's where I got my little league stuff.
My Uncle Morris worked there for years. He was a big guy, bigger than Smoking Jim.
I even got my pony league stuff there.
We don't believe that.
You know that pretty pony?
All right, we're going to go to Fiction and Fact. Nope. Well, we already hit Fiction and Fact. He got me so distracted with what we did with. Glad I could correct some of those errors there. All right, we're going to trivia time with Chip Hayner.
Alrighty, so we are going to go in a different direction.
Whoa.
Oh, a completely different direction, completely different sport. One of the all-time greats of one of the major sports passed away yesterday.
One of the best ever.
And Alan probably knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I remember him seeing him play as a child.
Blonde hair.
He played, played in the NHL when there were still the original 6.
And the WHA. He
Well,
kept them
and
alive.
I'll touch that. Now, the Golden Jet, Bobby
Gold
Hull,
hair.
passed away. He was in his 80s. Bobby Hull was a Canadian professional ice hockey player. Was widely regarded as one of the greatest players of all time. His blonde hair, skating speed, end-to-end rushes, and ability to shoot the puck at a very high velocity all earned him the nickname the Golden Jet. His talents were such that opposing players was often assigned just to shadow him. 23-year career from 1957 to 1980. He played in both the National Hockey League and the World Hockey Association with the Chicago Blackhawks, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Hartford Whalers. He won the Hart Memorial Trophy as the NHL's most valuable player twice, Art Ross Trophy as the leading point scorer 3 times.
And he was before you get there. I remember he had 58 goals that was burned across my head that he was one of the leading goal scorers. When you heard 58, you're like, how did a guy in hockey score 58 goals?
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you,
he was the
Chip, but-
NHL leading point scorer 3 times, helping the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup in 1961. That was when there was only 6 teams
Yeah,
in the NHL. There was the Blackhawks,
the original.
the Red Wings, the Canadiens, the Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, and the New York Rangers. Those are what they considered the original 6.
Yes.
And if anybody was wondering, the Penguins were part of the second 6. Wow.
1967.
Yeah. He led the NHL in goals 7 times, the second most of any player in history. Led the World Hockey Association in goals 1 additional time, while being the WHA's most valuable player 2 times. He was selected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1983 and received the Wayne Gretzky International Award in 2003. He was named one of the 100 greatest players in history. So just to give you an idea of his pedigree, in the NHL, in his career, 610 goals. In the World Hockey Association, 303 goals. That's 913 goals, which is more than Gretzky put up. And we've got Alex Ovechkin.
Trying to get there.
Who's trying to get there to set that new record. But anybody that watched hockey in the 60s, back when goaltenders didn't wear masks, players didn't wear helmets.
And they were called crazy, those goaltenders.
Players didn't wear helmets. Very few of them had teeth.
And one thing I wanted to put out there with the Jets there, he had 77 goals and he played with his son. So it was a father-son combination.
I think he
that
played
were
with his son on the Whalers.
Oh, the Whalers.
Yeah,
I stand
Brett.
correct. Yeah, Brett. That's what I was
And
getting
Brett,
at,
Brett in
with
and
the
of
Whalers.
himself was a highly successful.
He was too.
For the
pedigree
for
was
the
strong.
Dallas Stars. He finished out his career there at the Dallas Stars.
What a family.
But the passing of another legend of the game, even though it's a game that's more of a niche sport than it is, a major sport like football or baseball or,
Right.
I guess we could throw the NBA in there as well.
Oh, Paul Haley from South Carolina said Golden Jet. So he was
Yep.
right on the page with you.
Yep. So may he rest in peace, and remember the contributors of the game that helped to make the game what it is today.
Amy says, nice haircut, Chip.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Compliments to my barber, my wife.
There you go. Smoking Jim, is it negative? Please put it out there.
Chip,
Okay.
did I hear you correctly, Chip? You said in 23 years he had 1 world championship?
With the Chicago Blackhawks, yes.
I knew it was negative. That is not the first time he's been negative.
What did he win with the Gretzky? What war was that?
It was a great. He won
In
the Gretzky Award
2003.
in 2003. That
was
was well
that
past
was-
the time he had
That
retired.
was very impressive. Anything with Gretzky's name on it.
You don't even know
I
hockey.
love Gretzky. He saved
You don't
the
even
game.
know who he
He's
is.
the greatest.
If he walked in, you wouldn't know it was him.
I seen him on commercials.
Yeah, only on commercials, which aren't very good. All right, let's go to VIP time.
All right, VIP time. So let's talk about the upcoming Super Bowl. Let's talk about one of the games that got us there, the Chiefs and the Bengals. So the underlying point about the Chiefs-Bengals games, the game I want to get into is the art of taunting and what it means. The Burrowhead talk, not great, and the Cincinnati Bears saying things. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. You'll probably cringe a little bit. I just think it's absolute nonsense. But I'll agree with Al's point a bit. I mean, the Bengals were in it just by how they were playing, and the Chiefs definitely were struggling. So I'll give it that. But here's what I want to say about that in this case. When you talk about taunting, it's the greatest risk that you can take in sports. Let's think about some of the recent ones, like Juju Smith-Schuster doing a TikTok dance on the Bills logo at midfield in Buffalo. Or how about Josh Naylor in the series against the Yankees, the American League Division Series, rocking Garrett Cole to sleep like he's his father, right? Or in this case, Cincinnati's mayor jumping into football and just giving a ridiculous, official proclamation about Burrowhead and of the paternity test. You just got to listen to it if you haven't yet. It's so cringeworthy. But taunting is the biggest risk in sports, I would say, because if you taunt and you succeed, you genuinely will make another team upset and make them feel terrible, maybe start a fight, but you ultimately win. All is well. But then there are the cases that everybody remembers, which is when you don't. I don't have a statistic for you today to tell you how much taunting works and doesn't work, but we just saw that everybody, it seems now, and even now bringing the rationale, which is that the Bengals actually played well on their own, the taunting might not even have played a part in it, but just think about how hated the Bengals are right now because of Cincinnati's merit, because of the taunting. Think about how much better Patrick Mahomes looks now playing injured and the Chiefs forging through, getting some fortune, no matter how much you think the refs were involved in the game. They still won the game. And Travis Kelce, what did he call him?
A jabroni.
A jabroni. Yes, that. And I was listening to that live, and I was like, yes, that's so awesome, right? Because that's the narrative now. Nobody is worried about how well the Bengals played because there's a good chunk of the nation now, especially Chiefs Nation, that hates that team. And I know that I'm not pleased with them because I'm viewing the team as cocky now. And I'm like, listen, if you're going to be overconfident and you're going to have your mayor step in, not that they had anything to do with that, but just playing the role of we're the greatest. I felt bad for them a little bit too because I think the seeding they got ultimately botched in the whole situation, even though they did the right thing in the Damar Hamlin situation. They still got the short end of the stick in this case. And yet you're walking in there like, we own these guys and Joe Burrow's Patrick Mahomes' father. It looks terrible. And again, not even how they played. I'll agree with Alan to an extent. It's not that that had anything to do with it, but like think about what that narrative is now. Think about how terrible Josh Naylor looked after he was a meme for a week. Just like Aaron Judge or Garrett Cole as the father meme and rocking now Naylor. Just, you know what I mean? Like, because nobody's at that point you've gone beyond the game and nobody's worried about what happened on the field, because if you're going to act out of the bounds of what is considered decent in sports, you are going to suffer the repercussions. Now, these guys don't like when people act out, go to work, do your business in sports, that's fine. But like, think about how wonderful it is too to just like watch this stuff now too. This is a part of the sports that are entertaining in a way. And that's the thing though, when you get a clown that acts out, you also get to just bury him when he doesn't do well. Since he's mayor. Mike Hilton's comments about Burrowhead as the rest of the Bengals are doing. So the art of taunting, risky business. It's a very risky business, and you saw the Bengals flop during it. I got more points, but what's up?
I wanted to interrupt you, but
okay.
One of the reasons this is happening, do you ever hear of Larry Bird?
Yeah.
Would you think he's one of the greatest basketball players?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't have social media.
Okay.
So you know what he's known for?
Picking fights and not having to...
No. One of the greatest trash talkers in basketball history.
The court, though. Only on the court.
Wait, what did I just say? One of the greatest trash talkers in basketball.
Do you think he would have trash talked on social media in today's age?
No.
Let me explain. If social media were around, somebody would have picked that up. So today, they're playing the social media, but the generational change, I just laugh at it because some of it's so stupid. Like, I always talk about a coach can coach up players. Mm-hmm. Well, I was a quiet kid. You didn't have to tell me to get pumped up and play for the game. I was already pumped up. Now, some people, did I see them banging their heads in the locker like smoking Jim? Yeah, they would do it and then they'd go out. Somebody named Mark Angle was like that, Kurt Angle's brother. But you didn't see that happening then, where now people think that's normal. So what you know is good or bad, now it's normal.
Well, I'll tell you this. I was never a flashy player when I played, and I didn't really.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
I didn't really do that. But I will tell you this. There was, with the chaotic parts of sports now and the personalities, one team got to me the most, and a line drive got hit back at me, and I had to duck out of the way from it so I didn't get hit by it. And a dude taped a Gatorade bottle to a bat and hung it and took it over the dugout and said, "You need a bazooka for that one," right at my face. And I that's the only time I've ever had somebody do something so outrageous with their personality that I actually was moved by it, because I was like, I don't like this guy, and now I'm mad.
What did that kid do to you that you kept slamming on the wrestling mat? Was he trash talking you, or you was just
Baseball.
slamming him?
This happened during baseball.
I know,
the baseball
but you
bet.
said you didn't in any sport, and you was slamming them guys in the wrestling mat.
I didn't slam him. That video I
I
showed
think
you.
he was going to get up.
I returned every wrestler that I ever wrestled safely to the mat per regulations. Just one of them looked really intense. But anyway, we're off track here. But
Hold it, another off track. Chief said VIP is thermonuclear. Paul Haley agrees Cincy's lack of discipline lost them the game. It looked like Marvin Lewis was still coaching them. A cheap shot, late hit, and out-of-bounds penalty set up the win in regulation, as we said. With 8 seconds left, penalties lost the game.
Yes.
That's it. And, you know, the whole thing about taunting, to me, it detracts from the game.
Is it not art, though? Can you not agree with me? It's art.
It's just
It's beautiful.
my humble opinion.
Okay.
I think because I think players now are more concerned about their brand and getting likes and getting video
Well, social
that's
media.
going viral
Yeah.
because it puts as much money into their pocket as it does play
Or
in the
more.
I talked about that day one when I was on here. The brand sells you and gets you contracts.
No, and that's a change. I just wanted to bring about the generational change that I've seen in my adult life in sports. 'Cause
I hear
still
all of
like
you.
sports, and I think so much of it's funny stupid, and funny good.
That's why I call it risky business, though, because like you can do it.
That was a good movie.
you-
Go look at
you-
that movie.
Oh.
Risky Business.
That's where it was coming from in my mind. It is a movie. Don't talk about the movie, but it's a risk. You take a risk when you taunt. It's an art form, but it can backfire. Okay.
Ask Hollywood Henderson.
He couldn't spell cat.
All right, Super Bowl prediction real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
First year I was on here, I said the Buccaneers would win the Super Bowl around week 12, and then it happened.
Yes, sir.
And then I thought I could read the NFL, and then I got the Bengals wrong in the Super Bowl. And then now I had the Bengals going back to the Super Bowl, and I messed that up. So here's my prediction. I feel like the Chiefs will pull it out, and that'd be a great storyline for the NFL. But then again, when I think that, I feel like the Eagles, who have been consistently doing well all year, could also win it. And now I have no idea who to decide. So I'm gonna just go with the Eagles. That's my prediction. Hopefully that will hold up in 2 weeks. But I think the Eagles are just overall strong. That makes me suspicious of them, though, because usually the better team doesn't win in the Super Bowl in my head.
70 sacks.
Okay.
70 sacks.
I'm still gonna pick them, but I'm not as confident as I was 2 years ago with my Super Bowl prediction. And that was a really long
Who you
segment.
picking?
The Eagles.
Do you think both teams are smart enough at quarterback to win it?
What does that mean?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
I think both quarterbacks are
I
completely
got to do a
capable.
disclaimer on Smoking Jim.
What kind of
'cause
question?
In the history, let me explain where he's coming from.
Okay.
This is so racist by a black man.
Oh,
This is the first time there's 2 black NFL quarterbacks.
Is that really where you were going with that?
So
Get
you
your
know
head
what?
out of there. Come here.
Slick Move Guide is watching, so Jody's offended by what you're saying.
Get out of
That's where he went.
Get your
and
head
I
out
had
of
to
there.
disclaim it.
Look
that-
at me in the eye. Get out of there.
Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, the people that ask about the top third baseman for Pittsburgh Pirates, I Googled it, okay?
Yeah.
They have him listed as Pie Trainer number 1.
Chief was right.
Tommy Leach, number 2, from 1900 to 1912,
that's what
and
I
in
was thinking
1918. The next one, Richie Hebner,
Yes.
Yeah, I called it.
followed by Bill Madlock, followed by Bobby Bonilla.
Wow. What a contract he has. He's still getting $1 million a year.
And well, until 2033, I think.
35.
Slick Move Guide says hello to all.
Hi,
Hello
Jody.
back
She's so
at you.
beautiful.
All right, we're gonna close this out with me on location, and then whatever nonsense ends with the last minute or two. So 10 seconds. Okay. Phew. All right, on location, we got a couple coming up. We got boxing coming up at the Priory Hotel on the 10th of March. So check that out. We got 11th of March, we're going to be at Millvale Community Center. Maybe the 18th of March, we'll be back for Golden Gloves. Then we have on location at the Providence School in Troy Hill with Grandmaster Zhang and his Taekwondo crew. That's where they're on the board. They're actually one of the classes there at Taekwondo, the only one in the country, and we're honored to be filming a show at noon there on a Saturday. April Fool's Day, Smoking Jim, so bring your humor. Then we got 2 more shows of boxing in April. We'll give you those dates when we get closer and if we firm those up, and we got a couple other people asking about doing some more things on location. So check it out. I'm going to actually be doing a promotion for a good friend, Joanne Forrester, fan of the show. She has a Celebrate and Share that honors women, and they have a luncheon on, when is it? I'm trying to think. Coming up March 25th, I think, at the Lamont Hotel. So they asked if Nick and I can do it. Nick's going to help set me up, and I always get some good food, and the Lamont is a great restaurant, so we'll eat well. So those are our on-location shows, just like I fed Smoking Jim the best peanuts in Pittsburgh. Nicholas Coffee. Woo. All right, we'll do a little freewheeling. I'm picking the Chiefs. Ooh. I think it's Mahomes' time no matter what. Other people would have been crippled up and their careers would have been over. How he's even doing it, I don't know, but he got a big heart, and look at how strong he was. One mistake, though, like Chip brought up, could have cost them the game. But what we learned in sports, we've all played sports, you got to overcome adversity, referee calls, umpire calls, and guys like Smoking Jim pointing out the negative stuff during the game because Urkel got to get his way. So what are your thoughts on, what about Penguins? We got to do a little mention with Penguins.
I'm so scared.
It's been an up and down year. I'm not jumping on Chip's bandwagon where they missed the playoffs, but there's a chance in my book that they missed the playoffs with their inconsistent play, a terrible third line, and we are aging. Why do we lose mostly in overtime and in third periods? And
why can't we hold a lead?
Yeah, and Casey DeSmith is a backup for a good reason. And Smoking Jim said this about some football players, brittle brothers. Jari is shown to be a brittle brother in hockey.
There will be a number of trades made in the near future with the Penguins.
What about the cap, though? They're going to have to.
They're going to have. That's what it's going to be the interesting thing.
You and I know it's needed.
I got one thing that gives me hope about this whole situation, though, is that if they do well enough to qualify for the playoffs, and they're in that part where they're on a hot streak, that might do them better than being consistently good and mediocre throughout the entire year. That's the only thing I'm holding on
Hope
to.
for the hot streak. Brand
Yes.
the man says he could go on for hours about Penguins. He digs deep. Brand the man. We may have to have a special guest appearance as the season goes on because he's ready. He's watching the show.
I like to hear my man Mike, too. Mike knows his sports.
Yeah. Well, you can talk after the show.
Jim's solution is to bring back Yager.
Hey, at 50 years old, bring him back. Get him a Kit Kat bar and let him go to the stripper clubs. We'll be fine.
Oh, my.
Well, we're going to end the show. Hopefully, we appreciate all of you and hope you watch us again on all these different venues out there. We appreciate your input. I missed some of the comments. It doesn't always show up, but keep making them. Whether it's repetitive or not, I don't mind. And Chief, thanks for correcting me on, Pie Trainer. I have his picture in my closet. Stay Joey strong.